Hi there, it's Sandra here from Creating Spain, and today I'm using my iPad. One of the things that I love to do is to create some images and cut around them. Obviously, I spend quite a lot of my time doing that. Now, I've recently got a Scan & Cut SDX 1200, a Brother Scan & Cut, and it's a great machine, I love it. But some images don't scan that well. And you can get around it by adding a pencil line to the outer edge of the image that you're scanning. But if you're trying to scan a lot of things, then maybe that's not such a great idea. Maybe the shapes are a bit complicated, a bit too delicate. Maybe you don't have that great hand control. Maybe, there could be lots of reasons why you don't want to do it that way. So if you are using PNGs, there is a really nice, easy way of getting a much better and much easier cut line for your images, the ones that are particularly troublesome. Now I'm using my iPad and I'm using an app called Procreate, but I'm also using another app, which is Pixabay. Now you may be familiar with Pixabay as in pixabay.com, but they now have an app in the App Store, free to download, and you can get your images from there. So what I've done is I have found an image that I wanted, I have downloaded it, I've just chosen to copy it. Opened up Procreate, tap on my wrench, and I have a paste option down at the bottom. So there we are, there's my image. The magic of technology. I'm just going to make it a bit bigger so that you can see it. Now these images are a prime example of a pain in the neck to actually cut out because they have little bits of white around the edges and going through into the objects themselves. So if we tap off of the selection and tap on my layers button just up here, you can see I've only got one layer in my design at the moment. The background color, which is white. You can switch it off if you want to, don't have it at all, but since my paper color is going to be white, I will have background color set. Now I'm going to add another layer to this and tap on the blue section and go down here and find clipping mask. Put a clipping mask on. And now what you can do is you can literally just drag a colour swatch in here and everything will turn one colour. Oh, the magic. Now this means I have exactly the same design, but it's all a solid colour. Okay, I'm going to undo that for the moment because there is another step which I think is a valuable one to do. I'm going to go back to my original layer. I'm going to go to my brush tool, which happens to be set with a hard airbrush, but it makes very little difference what it is. And I'm going to add some colour swatch to the corners. Now this is because I have my paper size set to A4 size. Okay, you can set it to American letter size or A4 or A5 or A6, whatever it is that you want to put in your printer. But I will know that no matter what I do with this design, no matter what I do with the inside of this, those four corners make an A4 page. And that is meaning that I can easily work out where my design has to go on my cutting mat. That is an A4 page. That's what's going to be printed when I do my original print. So I would send this to the printer as is, because obviously this is what I want to cut out at the end of the day. But if I go back to my other layer and I add that colour in, this is going to tell me where my cut lines can be cut, and they will be exactly the same place as the original lines would be. So there's two ways you can do this. You can either send this to your Canvas workspace. You can export it and put it into Canvas workspace and do a trace on it and get your cut lines from that. Or you can print out your original one, i.e. print out this one here. I stop you from seeing that, just turn that layer off. Print out this one, print out the other layer, but just when you do your scan, you scan this one, but you cut the other one. And as long as you put it in the same place on your mat, it'll cut in exactly the right place. So that makes it so much easier to get a nice, clear, crisp cut line. And if you're going to be doing a whole batch of stickers and things like that, is a great way of doing it without going around everything with a pencil. To prove this works perfectly well, I put this on the mat and I scanned it, and without removing the mat from the machine, I then placed this piece of paper, which has the design that I wanted to cut out, on the mat and just set it to cut. Now these I chose not to actually cut out because I didn't actually want them, but I've got all my hearts cut out, and you can't see anything on this paper regards printed ink whatsoever, and these are perfectly cut around the edges of the design. Absolutely perfectly cut. So now that I've shown you how you can cut out all these nice things, let me show you another trick with the Procreate app. So we have our original layer with the original design that was downloaded from Pixabay. And we have our other layer, which is giving us the cutout shapes. Now you want to save those. But when it comes to this layer, you can swipe and delete it. You can undo that because I didn't want to swipe it and delete it. You can swipe it and duplicate it, which is definitely more what I had in mind. And as you can see, this layer is still over this layer here. But if I want to do something completely and utterly separate to that, I can simply move this layer up to the top. I can switch that layer off completely so that you can't see it. I can put another layer on here, and again I can tap and do the clipping mask. Now, apart from just filling things with a normal colour, if you've got Procreate, you've got lots of different brushes with lots of different effects to use. So for example, I might go into spray paints and I might find, for example, I've got these snowflakes, and I might think that's a fun thing to do. But what I would do is I would choose this layer here. Okay, I would then, drop a colour into there. There we go. Change my colour to white, I think. Go to my pen. And now I'm going to add a snowflake design to my hearts. So if I do this, I can get a really nice effect. Now I don't have to trace these again because I've already got my image layer in here that I can use to put onto there. If we click on that, ooh, I can get a nice colour background. You can basically do an awful lot of different things with this and make one image do whatever you want it to do, really. I can change the colour to, oh, I don't know, let's go for red. And I can have red ones on there. So instead of having just one image in one colourway, you've got a whole gamut of things you can do. The world is your oyster, your imagination is your only limit. You know, if you do have an iPad, I would strongly suggest you get Procreate because it'll make your designing life so much easier and so much fun. Great fun, can be a great time waster, but it is very, very good if you want to cut out awkward little things like this. My iPad at the moment is refusing to print wirelessly. I'm not quite sure why, but I suspect that the firmware on my printer needs updating. But I don't know how to find out which version of the firmware it has at the moment. So I'm going to leave that till my husband gets back and we'll sort it out later on. But because I wanted to print this afternoon while he's not actually here, and I wanted to print from my iPad rather from my laptop, I decided to have a look at the Canon print facility. There is an app available. If you just type in Canon if you have a Canon printer, if you type in Canon under the app search engine, you should find the Canon print utility on there. My normal print, which is there, which doesn't seem to work at the moment. And then I've got print here, which is the Canon one. So if I click on that, I can go to the print settings. Now, one thing you do have to be wary of is that it has a automatic reversion to a paper size of 4 by 6 inches, and it may well have a border on it. But you can print out the number of copies that you want. You can change the paper size. So if I put that to A4. Now the media type, I found that if I chose plain paper, it didn't give me the option of doing borderless. I don't know why it doesn't, but it just doesn't. So I actually chose matte photo paper, which is going to give me a good quality print, I would imagine, but it enabled me to use the borderless, because if I go back to the paper type and I go to plain paper and I tap on this, I can't change it from bordered at all. It just won't do it. And I fail to see why it won't, but it just doesn't, you know. So I've stuck it on matte photo paper. Colour mode or black and white, obviously. Then you go back and then you can just send it to print, and it just printed it straight off, no problem. Now this is showing up at the moment because I have a border, so those corners there are not in the corner of the paper. So if I go to my print settings, I've got to change that to borderless again. Go back and you can see that those corners are where they should be on the outer edges of the paper, and I tried it and it worked fine. And in fact, I have here that particular design and my corners are where they're supposed to be. So there we go. If you have a Canon printer and you're having trouble with the iPad sending it, I mean, I thought first of all it was the Wi-Fi, because our Wi-Fi can be a bit flaky from upstairs and downstairs, but it wasn't that, obviously, because this does it just fine. So it's a setting, probably just needs updating on the firmware, because my iPad is up to date. That's the only other thing I can think of. But if you happen to have a Canon printer and it's not working as you expect from your iPad, that might be the reason why, and this is at least a solution, a nice easy solution if you don't want to bother messing around with your printer either. That's it. Thanks for watching. Take care now. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.